Yo, what's up guys, it's me Jake here, and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 raids of 2021. Now, I've already recorded this video twice. This is my third time actually recording this video, because the first time I literally just couldn't actually make it because I tried editing it, but I had such a bad stutter the whole video. I think I stuttered on every single word. That was just impossible to make an actually good video out of it. And the other time, the file corrupted. So I just got 2 L's straight up in the same week. So this is coming out the week after. This should be out by Monday. I'm super sorry about this. It's just my week has been super unlucky, and yeah, I don't have much else to say about that. I just was super unlucky with it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get straight into it. So, at my number 10 spot is a series I know will probably never get English print. It is a Kodansha manga, and that's going to be Jujutsu no Rokunin. Now, if you've never read Jujutsu no Rokunin, it is very graphic and very much a great revenge story, but very repetitive at the same time. I will definitely very much admit that. It definitely is very repetitive, but the art is fantastic, and I really love Uruma as a main character. Now, I will admit, I did read this and catch up to it, and as I caught up to it, the most recent 5 to 10 chapters has been a really big drop-off. I really will admit that. I don't like the most recent 10 chapters, but out of the other 60 other chapters, I would say 50 other chapters, I loved it. Amazing work. I made a video about this as well, and I think it's a really great revenge story. I really like how crazy all the characters are. It's very much more dramatic, or should I say way more dramatic than like in normal life. It's supposed to be like a normal kind of story, but definitely way more dramatic than real life, and it's definitely very good. So if you have not yet checked out Jujutsu no Rokunin and you're looking for a more seinen, more like very graphic revenge story, this definitely will be it. Now, I will say it's definitely not for everyone, so I wouldn't say everyone check it out, but I definitely would say it for the people who like those stories. You'll probably like Jujutsu no Rokunin, other than the most recent chapters. So yeah, that's my number 10. Now, at my number 9 spot, I have a series that has a soft spot in my heart, and I've been hyping up for like over a year now, I believe, and that's Kemono Jihen. I hope this gets English physicals. It's at the 15th volume now in Japan, but I have very low hopes for this getting English physicals, but I love it. I was about to say Jujutsu no Rokunin. Kemono Jihen is very good. I very much enjoy it. It is definitely one of the series that has a emotionless protag, and I definitely like this one the most. I think Kabane is really interesting, and there's a reason behind why he's emotionless, and I really do like how he's just trying to live a normal life, and I really do like Kabane in that fact. I really just do like the whole cast of like Shiki, Akira, Inumaki, Kon, and Kabane. I think it's a really wholesome, really nice cast, and I think the power system is really interesting, and I really do like all these things that is really building up in Kemono Jihen, and I really love this series. So if you have not yet checked it out, definitely check out Kemono Jihen. The anime is pretty good as well, I would say. I think the anime is a pretty good adaptation, but I will say the manga is just so damn good. I think the art is fantastic at times. I do really like the character design, as it is very different and very, very, very not the same as most shonens. And I think that this is definitely going to be on a lot of to-read lists this year if Season 2 comes out, and I think that a lot of people should definitely pick up Kemono Jihen, as it's really good. I very much highly recommend Kemono Jihen. Now, at my number 8 spot is a series you all probably don't want me to talk about anymore, and that's Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. I've been reading a lot more rom-coms this year, and this is definitely one of the better ones for me. I very much like it. It's very wholesome. I really like the cast, and Senpai is just a nice, kind of funny, and kind of relatable protag at the same time, even though he's very weird at the same time. But the art, fantastic. Nanashi's facial expressions are amazing. How he went from his past works, if you know what I mean by Nanashi's in his past works, and to this, it worked it flowed so well. It just worked so well. So I'm going to say, very highly suggest Don't Toy With Miss Nagatoro. I also really like the anime, even though the anime did go a little weird and they did like change up like the order of events. But since this is episodic mostly, I will say that that works fine, and I think that the anime did a fine job just making it like that, because it kind of made the events flow better. I will admit that it did make the whole entire kind of flow of events way more smooth. So I will say I definitely recommend the anime, but I would also suggest the manga if you like the anime enough and you want to see other stories that the anime did not include. Definitely check out the manga, because it's really good. It's amazing. And if you might say, oh, but it's just about bullying, no, it's not. She's teasing him because she likes him, and it's nothing like that. But it's very obvious after the first volume that she likes him and she's not just bullying him. And yes, the first couple chapters it feels like she's bullying him. It's not like that once you get more into it. So definitely suggest Don't Toy Me Miss Nagatoro. And definitely don't go into it thinking she's just going to bully him the whole time, because that's not what's going to happen. My number 6 spot is a series you guys all expect to be on here, but probably expect it to be higher, because I do very much highly rate this series, and that's going to be Chainsaw Man. Now, I really like Tatsuki Fujimoto's view on Chainsaw Man. I cannot wait for part 2 of Chainsaw Man. I cannot wait for more of it, but I will say, it is definitely one of those series you just want to have fun with. It's not one of those series you should go into thinking it's going to be some deep, super deep shonen that it just goes beyond the boundary of the demographic of shonen and go into this like, oh my god, it's the next 10 out of 10, it's the best thing ever, and just like that, just like all you JJK fans where people try and get into JJK. But Chainsaw Man is definitely just something there to have fun with it, and a very crazy concept, as Tatsuki Fujimoto's brain just works on a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure level of crazy, and it just has a lot of just craziness on all of his works, and this is no different. Chainsaw Man is just bonkers, off the walls, and I will say it's definitely one of those series I highly suggest. Very much pretty graphic in terms of gore, but I will say it's definitely very fun, and for a shonen, definitely a top tier shonen. I would definitely put this as like above A or S tier. If I were to make a tier list on it, it would definitely go in A or S tier, just saying. So that's how I would talk about Chainsaw Man. Really great, love Denji as a protagonist. Overall cast is really fun. Also, just the story being so off the walls bonkers just makes it a really fun read. So yeah, Chainsaw Man is my number 6. Now, my number 5 was actually going to be my number 6 until I read volume 5, so you probably know what that is off my most recent reading log and haul. Call of the Night. I think Call of the Night has just blown away my expectations, and I think Call of the Night, mostly with volume 5, has showed me the development that I've been wanting in Koyamori, and I will say the overall kind of cast and kind of world we're living in with Call of the Night is so interesting. Now, I didn't actually know this till recently, but this was actually made by the manga of Dagashi Kashi, and I learned this from the Giguk video that was made like a couple weeks ago, and I will say very much can see that now with the art style. I can very much tell that this was made by the author of Dagashi Kashi. I will say I love his art style, and I will say he built such a unique world, as it's just the real world with it being night. It's just at night, and I think that's a very different atmosphere than a lot of people are used to, and seeing things empty and seeing this kind of like a loneliness that Koyamori has within this dark world, yet he still has Nazuna and a bunch of his friends that hang out with him, is just so interesting, just seeing how there's nothing but there's a lot at the same time. And I love that, and I think it's a really interesting thing to have. And also with these vampires, it does build upon this world a little bit more. I will say it's a really cool and really interesting story, and I will say it's very unique as well, as this is not the just average rom-com. It has a lot of drama in it, and it is very much something that you shouldn't just go into it thinking, oh, it's just another rom-com. It's not just another rom-com. It's something different, and I really like how they kind of try and differentiate themselves from the rest of the rom-coms out there. And I will say Call of the Night is just a fantastic read. I cannot wait for more to come out in English, and I cannot wait to read more, because this has just been so fun to read, and it's just been one of those series that I've been hyped for in each volume coming out. So if you haven't already, pick up Call of the Night, because I think this is a perfect spot to pick it up, is with all 5 volumes. Well, I've been miscounting this whole time, and I thought I was on 6 and 5, but I just completely skipped 7. So this is actually my number 5 manga of the year. This was very close with Call of the Night. I'm sorry I messed that up, but happiness. It's another vampire story, yes, I know. This actually got me into Shuzo Oshimi, and I know you guys might be saying, you didn't read this in 2021, I actually started reading this January 1st of 2021. This is the first thing I read in 2021, and also one of the last things I read in 2021. As I read this at the very end, I reread it again, and it definitely solidified its spot at 5. Definitely a very different Shuzo Oshimi work. It's probably his least weird work out of all of his works, and it definitely has the most amount of characters within the cast. And I really think that happiness is definitely one of those things he tried experimenting with himself with, and I think it worked out very well, as I think this is one of my favorite Shuzo Oshimi works out there, and I really liked how the vampires work in this series and how the world is really built in this series and how the characters kind of interact is really interesting. And seeing the difference in all these characters, like Yuki with his family compared to Okazaki and his family, seeing all the different relationships and how they kind of are very different from each other, like Okazaki and Gosho to I think it's like Now and Yuki, it's very interesting to see. And I like to see all these different characters get together as a group and become friends, yet they are also kind of split apart at the same time. And I think that's a very interesting kind of topic. I really like how this is basically split into two halves of a story, how the first 5 are as kids and the second 5 are as adults. I think that's really interesting, and it really doesn't kind of mess with the mojo of the story. It really helps the story kind of grow and grasp this world a little bit more, and I really did enjoy that. I think Happiness was one of my favorite mangas of all time, probably in my top 10. I read a lot that entered my top 10 this year, and I think this is definitely one of the lower tier ones, but definitely up there. It is just so phenomenal, and if you're looking for a start in Shuzo Oshimi works, this is definitely one of them. I think this and another series that's coming up later in this video are 2 perfect starts for Shuzo Oshimi works, and I cannot wait to read more, and I hope Shuzo Oshimi makes more, because I know Welcome Back Alice is now getting English physicals, and I cannot wait for that. I know Avant-Garde Yumiko is also getting an English physical, even though I have one self-printed because it was a gift from a friend from a while ago. I'll definitely be picking that up, and I cannot wait. Hopefully we get more of Shuzo Oshimi's works printed in English, but I doubt that because a lot of his other works that aren't already printed are just weird, like very, very weird. So I don't expect it, but hopefully we do, because Avant-Garde Yumiko did, and that's probably one of his weirder works. So yeah, that's all I'd say for this one, and on to the next one. Now, for my top 4. This was very hard for me to decide, but at number 4, we have World Trigger. If you don't know, I've been in love with World Trigger ever since I started. I read the first 10 volumes this year, and I've loved it. The first major arc was so phenomenal, and it was so fun at the same time. Seeing the developments of our cast and seeing how the world really is phenomenal. This world has been built up to be something insane, and I cannot wait to see how they build upon it more now. The only reason I haven't continued it now is because I need more volumes. I'm missing like volumes 11, 12, and 15, so I'm missing quite a bit there, and I don't want to just like read online for a bunch of volumes, so I just need more volumes, and then I'm going to continue this, and I doubt that it's going to drop because I hear it just gets better and better and better, so I cannot wait, and I just love World Trigger. All the power system stuff and all the characters and the world are just super interesting, and I really like the use of the triggers and how different triggers can do different things, and how there's groups of a bunch of different triggers and how they can kind of be different and use the same trigger in a different way is super, super, super fun to see. I really like how to see how different squads fight, because I love that. I love how different everything is. So yeah. And the first major arc is just phenomenal. If you haven't already read World Trigger, go ahead and do yourself a favor and read it. Don't watch it, because to hear the first season and a little bit of the second season are pretty bad, but definitely read it. It is phenomenal. Now, for my number 3 spot, something I made a video on saying it's probably the greatest shonen of all time. Yeah, very clickbait, I know. But it's going to be Tokyo Revengers. Now, this is finally getting English print. I do have the Japanese volumes like I did for the other ones that were on here that didn't have English print, but I will say this is so good. Now, I know the most recent arc has been dropping off, but I have actually not read it. I've actually stopped reading it since chapter, I think, 215, so I can't really say much on that, but I cannot take away from how good the past arcs were with Tenjiku, the church arc, Bloody Halloween. Like, all these arcs are so phenomenal, and each one gets better and better and better till the most recent arc, so I have to put it up here. It's just such a fun, phenomenal read, and having like 200 amazing chapters out of a 250 chapter series, I'm fine with, because I had that fun ride, and it was super enjoyable. So definitely going to suggest Tokyo Revengers. It is dropping in my top 10 because I'm reading so many other things, but this is definitely one of them that will stay with me for a while, because it was just so fun, and I really loved the cast, and the characters are really fun, but kind of believable at the same time. And yeah, I know they don't look like middle schoolers, yada, but it's anime and manga. It's a different world. What did you expect? Look at Platinum N. That guy's a middle schooler. He looks like he's 30. I don't care. I mean, like, as long as I enjoy the series, which I don't really enjoy Platinum N, but I mean, this is enjoyable, and I know they don't look like it, but they are, and I just gotta believe it. So yeah, but it is amazing. So definitely check out Tokyo Revengers if you haven't. Now, at number 2 is the other Shuzo Oshimi work I was talking about. Now, this I haven't reread because I'm missing Volume 10, and I want to reread it when I get Volume 10, and that is Flowers of Evil. I have all the singles but one, and I'm trying to get the omnibuses, but this is a phenomenal read. It's definitely one of the more weirder works by Shuzo Oshimi, but it is also pretty normal near the end at the same time. I will say, this is definitely another jumping on point for Shuzo Oshimi. I think Happiness and Flowers of Evil are perfect jumping on points, because Happiness, you get the art, and you get the kind of, like, characterization that Shuzo Oshimi really puts into there. But in Flowers of Evil, you get that weirdness and kind of creepiness that you can get from some of his works. As this is somewhat horror, but not from, like, the spooky, scary horror. It's more like psychological horror. And we'll say, it is definitely going to creep some people out. It's amazing, and I definitely very much highly suggest Flowers of Evil. The art is fantastic, and I think that everything about it is just amazing. So definitely go check out Flowers of Evil if you haven't. It's one of his better works. I think it's probably his best work, as it is my number 2 this year, and it is just that good. I know a lot of people say it's a 10 out of 10, one of their favorite manga, but it really deserves to be on there, because Flowers of Evil and the cast is very different, and I will say Flowers of Evil is just something that is not really kind of changeable. Like, it's very different from a lot of things, so you can't, like, replace it with something and say, oh yeah, it's the same thing. It's not really, like, anything else. It's very different, so it's very unique and very much just an amazing story. So my number 2 is Flowers of Evil. And at my number 1 spot, now I've read this more recently, but I think that this is just phenomenal. I know a lot of you might be saying, recency bias, you just read it more recently, you're gonna like it more because you've read it recently. No, it's just one of those works that cemented itself as one of my top 5 mangas of all time, and that is going to be Beastars. This is definitely one of the most different things in my top 5, as a lot of my top 5 is Battle Shonen and then Berserk, but this is definitely very different from that. It's very much a slice of life mystery, somewhat action drama, and I will say it is so good with the topics they deal with, the themes they deal with, and how dark it can really get for a series about just a wolf in a world that's kind of segregated between carnivores and herbivores is very, very crazy. I think that Legoshi is one of my favorite protagonists of all time, only behind Guts and Luffy, and I think that's saying something, because Luffy, I've had like 900 chapters become like super attached to the guy, and Guts is just Guts. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, a wolf is my number 3. Like, call me a furry, I don't care. This is so phenomenal. If you have yet to read Beastars, you should definitely go do yourself a favor and read this. It is so phenomenal. And I know this is probably going to be on a lot of people's want to buy and want to read for 2022, as it's coming to a close in 2022, as volume 16 just came out, and there's 22 volumes, so I think we're probably going to get the end of Beastars this year. And also, a lot of the volumes were kind of out of stock during the year of 2021, so a lot of people are going to be trying to pick it up this year, and with the trailer and stuff probably going to be coming out for the final season this year, it's probably looking like that Beastars is getting the hype that it deserves. And I'm so happy, because this is such a phenomenal read, and I think the second half of the volumes that we've had are just so crazy at the same time. I really like the direction they're going into, and I really like the most recent arc we're really getting into, as we're seeing a lot of development out of this guy right here. We're seeing Legoshi really change who he is, and I really love how he's changing. It's not like something that's just like, oh yeah, I'm like this now. It's like, over the whole span of all these volumes, he's gone through things, and through those things, he's changed and developed. And I really like how Paru Itagaki is doing this, and I feel like if any other artist did Beastars, it would not be the same as Beastars. With Paru Itagaki's art, just works so phenomenally. But that's my number 1, it's Beastars. I've already talked enough about it, and that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!